Thank you, Adriaan, for this wonderful introduction. Well, we're Zesbaans, we're a media collective from Amsterdam, and we are all actually freelancers, but we join our forces in one studio, and sometimes we collaborate on bigger projects, or mostly we collaborate on bigger projects. Our skills go from, Our skills go from motion graphics to hardware soldering to programming and user interface design. But today I'm going to talk to you about Waterwerk. It is our biggest project, and it was really interesting because the architect had just won a pitch by saying, we're going to have this 9 by 2 meter LED screen on the side of a swimming pool, and it's going to be interactive, but I don't know how. So that's where we got involved, and it was really from this early stage. As you can see here, Max is standing in the pool. And there was one aspect the architect wanted, and he wanted to have water shooting out of the screen. He had seen this in Chicago, and they'd have this amazing water fountain where water would blow out of the LED screen. So that was one of his goals. So then, of course, we set our own goals. We wanted to create an identity for the pool itself, because you have this massive LED screen. It's going to have a lot of impact. So we wanted to make sure that we use that impact. And we wanted to make sure that we promoted interaction between the swimmers, not just a one-on-one interaction with the screen itself. And of course, it's a recreational swimming pool, so we had to entertain the swimmers as well. So we went on to a lot of research, and here are two really cool projects. Top right is Waterlight Graffiti, and it's an interactive LED screen, but every LED also has a water sensor in it, and you can actually paint with brushes or a super soaker. Or the bottom right one is a pool party where they added 10,000 ping pong balls to a swimming pool so they could use it as a projection surface. But the most interesting project we found was this one, and it's actually an interactive seesaw. The reason why we like it so much is that people don't have to do anything different. They just have to be on a seesaw itself. You don't have to explain to them what they need to do. They'll just do it. The only thing that it does is it enhances the natural behavior of the kid or the user of the seesaw. And they don't add any new rules. It's just normal what you do. So then we came up with our own interaction model for this, and we wanted it passive interaction. So that means just being there is basically enough. We didn't want any targets or no goals. Nothing you could do would ever be wrong, because you would just be there. And we didn't want to set all the rules in before, because then you would have less imagination. People should just be able to play. Like at one point there was a kid coming up to me and saying, well, if I splash this water, then that will happen on the screen. Yeah, sure. Yeah, fine. Nice. So this is the setting. It's a big pool. And early on we decided we didn't want anything to do with buttons or touchscreens or stuff like that, which would normally come up in our interactive project, because of all the water and wires and stuff like that. So we came up with a camera solution where we'd have a number of cameras installed above the screen. And of course, it isn't just a normal background subtraction, because as you can see, like the water is in constant motion. You can't just say like, hey, let's get rid of this. So at an early stage, we got Frank Bourgogne from the University of Utrecht involved, who helped us a lot with this background subtraction, getting all the water out. Top left is the pool itself. The blue area is where we can track people in 2D. And the red area is where we can actually track people in 3D. We also have like industrial connects on top of the pool, and we can follow them in 3D movements. If they would be jumping or going underwater, we could see that. We also wanted to make sure that we created this variety show, because you'll be in a pool for a number of hours, and you don't want to be stuck in this like theme park loop where you constantly get the same visuals or get the same stuff over and over again. And it would be very playful and modular that way. So we eventually created a whole variety of different apps, 7 in total, and 20 different visual bumpers in between those apps. And we would have different time slots. So the users could, or the pool itself could program and say, like, now there's a children's party, let's put some really active apps on, or now there's a really small group of elderly women, let's put something more simple on. Everything was based around the polder. Of course, you would have this polar landscape around the building itself. And we wanted that for our installation, for all our visuals and our concepts as well. And the boulder is like this building blocks of different elements of the Dutch rural landscape, and you could really play with those like Lego, and we really liked that visually because it had this low polygon feel. So we got into a low polygon graphical style, and it also helped us because the computer graphics in these triangles are really easy to calculate for the computer, so our visuals would be swift and respond really quickly to the users. But it also leaves out a lot of information which people can then fill in themselves. Like as you can see on the left, it could be a fox, it could maybe be a dragon, or it can be just abstract triangles. So then development began. It was a lot of coding. All the tracking and framework stuff was done in open frameworks. And it was, I think, like a year on full-on development with our whole team. And all the apps we made in Unity 3D. And that really helped our team because we have these motion designers. They could then create animations, and then they could give it to the coders, who would then add code to these fishes, and we could really iterate quickly and see more fishes, more animations. And that was really, really cool to experience our whole team working together like that. And like I said, it was a lot of heavy testing as well, as you can see me on the left. But it's really a weird environment. Like the right-hand side is actually a finished pool where we tested some stuff, but normally we'll be testing in an unfinished, unheated swimming pool where you would be running in your flip-flops and swimming trunks, the 3 flights up to the server area, going past construction guys. It was chaos. And now I'm going to show you a couple of the apps we actually made. This is the sloth. The sloth is actually a mirror. Every fish you see on the screen is a representation of a swimmer in the pool. When you swim closer to the screen, your fish will actually swim closer towards you. And there's also this element where people can work together by grouping up. They can become a bigger fish. So they can eventually, if you have a group of 8 people, they become the biggest fish in the sloth. But like we said, the screen would shoot water. So when you come really close to the screen, your fish will eventually blow water at you from the screen. This is the Cookies, one of the other apps we made. And Max, our designer, is very happy because it reminded him of a Kandinsky painting. So we had to create our own Kandinsky steam machine. Interactivity-wise, it works as follows. We have the hot zone where we could track people in 3D. And when people would jump, they would be connected to one of these machine parts. So the more people would jump, the more the pressure in the machine itself would build up. Water would shoot out of the screen until eventually like red lights would go off until you have this really big underwater explosion. And it's kind of like kids can time their own like waves in a recreational swimming pool, and they can do it by jumping more or being more active. These are 2 of the other apps we then made. The top one is the Skipper. The Skipper has this augmented reality layer to it, where you see this happy chicken on top of a leaf. And actually it is, the people can create like this line, and then the chicken will reach the egg and is very happy with her egg, but then the egg jumps away, gets across to the other pool again, and they can do it again. And the bottom one was the easiest to explain to city council, because that is just every swimmer in the pool is a brush. When you collide, you create extra particles like a Jackson Pollock painting. Of course, it had to be pool environment, so we created the Jackson Pollock. Then, of course, the big day was there. It's called Sportcomplex Koning Willem-Alexander. So it was opened by Koning Willem-Alexander. We got to explain the cookies to him. And he got it straight away. It was quite interesting. Like he had a lot of interesting questions about, like, can you follow everybody individually? Does your computer render that? What? So it was quite interesting. And Zesbaans was meanwhile in the pool, being really active, trying to get the cookies to blow. The sport complex is actually opened right now. The screen is visible, and Waterwerk is visible for everybody with a swimming diploma and some swimming shorts. I didn't have time in these 10 minutes to tell you about the underwater soundtrack. There's audio underwater, and it's quite a weird experience to have like the audio from upstairs, like whistling birds and stuff like that, to have that happen underwater. At one point, we had an elderly woman who came up to us. I was like, "You're from the screen, right?" "Yes." Am I going mad, or are there birds?" "There are birds." Well, my time's up. That was it. Thank you very much.